Now, as I mentioned, Zindzi Mandela is also going to be laid to rest today. Still a few details sketchy around her burial. You remember she died earlier this week, I beg your pardon, at the age of 59. Let's bring you more detail with our Mnisi. South Africa's ambassador to Denmark, that's Zindzi Mandela, as I mentioned, will be laid to rest this morning. The daughter of anti-apartheid icons Nelson Mandela and Winnie Mandela died in a Johannesburg hospital earlier this week. She'll be buried next to her mother, we're told, in 4 ways. The family says she's tested positive for COVID-19 on the day of her death, but it's still unclear if this was in fact the cause of her death. Our very own Linda Mnisi is covering the story for us. He joins us now live in studio for a bit more. Linda, always great catching up with you. So perhaps let's start with what we know for sure. Still a bit more confusion about whether even the media will be allowed to follow proceedings of the burial today. Give us a sense of what we know for sure, at least for now.
Well, a very good morning to you, Ayanda. At this particular point, what we know is that this funeral will be a very close funeral, given the fact that there are, of course, regulations that need to be followed. So South Africans will be able to stream the funeral at this point, but it's unclear if everybody will have access to that, because it is, of course, a private funeral. But like you say, she will be laid to rest just next to her mother in 4 ways.
Right. And even though there wasn't much clarity about today, South Africans did have access to the memorial yesterday. Take us through some of the salient sentiments that were shared.
Well, yesterday we saw that virtual memorial service, like you say, COVID-19 changing how we do things, but that was from the ANC's Women's League, and it was also joined by President Cyril Ramaphosa, who hailed Zindzi Mandela for just her contribution. You'll remember she's described as a woman who really made a lot of sacrifices from an early age, living without her parents and also growing up and having to still cement herself in politics. We heard the president also, thanking the Mandela family for coming out in terms of her COVID-19 test, saying that this is a final act of solidarity in the fight against the pandemic. But also, we also heard the ANC Women's League president, Bathabile Dlamini, saying that, well, she cemented herself in politics, rather, and the fact that, well, she went against what is happening right now within the political space of comrades selling out against each other.
Right, and that's because Zindzi, I guess, in some respects, has been known to speak her mind, to put it mildly, and that, of course, also being acknowledged by the ANC. Well, we'll have to see how things unfold for today. Thanks very much for getting us into the picture. Linda Mnisi, our reporter, of course, keeping a close eye on that story.